Nowadays, one of my best voices is Monty Don from Gardener's World. But if I did that voice now, say at the Comedy Store, this is the way it would go. Who is that bloke you did who was talking about the gardening? I say, well, that's Monty Don, yeah. Who's he? Well, he does Gardener's World. What's that? It's a television programme on BBC Two. What's BBC Two? It's a television channel. What's a television channel?
I am very excited today, and I'm often very excited about when I'm meeting people. This is Alistair McGowan, who I gigged with years and years ago, and he's been a massive TV star. He's coming soon. He's coming soon. I don't know when, but apparently he's coming soon. There he is. There, look. Whoever set this up. Hey,
great to see you, Steve.
I missed your hand there. Look, I hate that one. That's it. That's it.
They wouldn't have known. Nice to be here on the second hottest day of the year.
Welcome to my little studio.
Very nice.
Come through here, Alistair McGowan.
Hello.
You know what? It is so good to see you, because you did a shoot here on the roof a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I sent this mail out because I did Adam Bloom.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, it was good.
Stop
the film.
Yeah,
Stop the film.
yeah, totally.
I'm not enjoying the films. I know what you're thinking. Quite good looking. But he wouldn't want to fuck me. Yeah, right. That's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As Adam Bloom. Because Alistair McGowan is the #1 impressionist.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say. Semi-retired now.
Is that true?
Partly because the way people watch television has changed so much. Nobody now watches BBC One all day long and ITV and BBC Two and Channel 4, which when I was in my heyday, that was it. I could read the Radio Times and I knew exactly what people were watching, I knew who they'd see, and so you knew that if you did somebody, chances were they'd know who you're doing. But now, how can I be across all those channels? How can I know all those things? How can I absorb all that? And actually, do I want to? Do I want to watch these things anymore?
So the youth for today, their famous icons, people are different or more varied.
Completely. So, the way to do impressions now, I think, is to specialise. So you have people, and some very good people. There's a lad called Josh Berry.
I know. I've taken Josh's photographs. Yeah.
Josh does some fantastic voices, but particularly tennis. So he knows that's his speciality. So he can do his McEnroe, and his McEnroe is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compete with the guy. Why would I want to do that? But he does his McEnroe. People will look up tennis, and they'll look up tennis voices. Hey, there's Josh doing his McEnroe, fantastic. Or he can do his, maybe he's going to have to retire his Andy Murray. We're all going to have to retire our Andy Murrays pretty soon. But
you were very much into the sport impressions anyway, weren't you?
I was, yeah. But we could do those on my show 25 years ago. And you knew that people would probably know this person, they'd know that person, but now they watch what they want to watch. And it's very difficult. And you couldn't do a show now like the one that I did. You couldn't do a show which was a bit of a news readers, a few weather people, some celebrities, some sports people, some film stars, and know that everybody would know all those people.
Just to interrupt the show, you enjoying it? It's great. Alistair McGowan, fantastic. If you're liking it, like button like, and subscribe. A lot of people are watching these videos, loving them, but not subscribing. It really helps me make more stuff. Back to the show. You are gigging still, because you were talking about...
Very rarely. Over the last 10 years I've been very lucky. I've been working with Jasper Carrott live, and Jasper gets such a good audience.
Does he?
Oh yeah, they come and they absolutely adore him, and he still does all his stuff brilliantly, and I'd be there as well, and the audience would love what I did too, because they're of an age.
Yeah.
But if I was to go and do the Comedy Store now, forget it. They wouldn't know who I was, they wouldn't know half the people I was doing. Okay. This sums it up. I'm getting all that in blue now. This sums it up, okay? Okay, let's just sum it up really quickly, okay? Nowadays, for instance, one of my best voices and favourite people to do is Monty Don from Gardener's World. Now, that's a programme that I watch, my age, but it's still BBC Two, and it's a big show on BBC Two. But if I did that voice now, say at the Comedy Store, this is the way it would go. Who is that bloke you did who was talking about the gardening? I say, well, that's Monty Don, yeah. Who's he? Well, he does Gardener's World. What's that? It's a television programme on BBC Two. What's BBC Two? It's a television channel. What's a television channel? That's how far away you are from recognition now. Because they'll watch TikTok.
Yeah.
Or they'll watch whatever else, platforms I don't even know about. But they won't watch even BBC Two. Honestly, people don't know what that is.
When you started, I started with, there was a lot more variety, a lot more kind of weird and wonderful stuff, which included jugglers, impressionists, circus skill stuff and all that stuff. So, but why did you not go through the stand-up, but straight to impressions?
I couldn't have done an act without impressions in it.
Was that your crutch?
More than that, I suppose it was what I had. It was my talent. It was what I wanted to show off. I do think, in a way, we can all talk about why we do what we do and why we get involved in things and why we're doing this particular show or whatever. But I do think a lot of it is just showing off, and we're show-offs.
Yeah.
And I knew I had this talent, and it was for impressions. And without the impressions, I wouldn't have been able to do the comedy. I think also everybody has their persona, and I remember vividly doing early gigs with Milton Jones.
Yeah.
And Milton would just do his jokes, and I'm sure he'd say this himself, they were passable. But then
When he came on one night with his hair sticking up and this weird jumper, looking at the audience like this,
and we were in the dressing room going, what the hell's Milton doing? Have you seen what's he doing?
and suddenly all those jokes worked, and ever since then, they haven't stopped working.
But you find your persona. So as an impressionist, you haven't got that persona, you've got loads of other personas you put on. But without those personas, you're like Milton without Milton. So they are funny through all these different voices. If you're learning a new voice, you've got to listen to it over and over again.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you go for the mannerisms as well, which is part of the impression?
Sometimes people say to me, you look like the people when you're on stage when you do them. And someone like Gary Lineker, for instance, it's a very subtle voice and a subtle character, if you like. 'Cause he's not very expressive as such, Gary. But at the same time, there are certain things that he does. And so when I try and do him, you have to put your mouth into a certain way. And to get that sort of strange, it's a Leicester thing, but at the same time, it's what he does. He has this it just goes up and down like that all the time. So you do feel your face and your body are doing that as well. So you do sort of become, you just start to look
I don't have to ask any questions, really, just do an impression.
And there's another one on the football front is Shearer.
Right.
And, Shearer's come now and sort of took over during the Euros. Shearer was everywhere, he was commentating, he was practically, on every panel as well. But Alan's got that as well, where you just can't help but you've got to be like that to get the voice, because the voice is so strong, like a bull, and so you have to be like a bull when you're doing Alan. He's just absolutely constantly like a bull about to charge out of a field, and don't come near me because I'll charge you with my big horns. All right.
Great. You're going to the theatre tonight?
Yes. Well, it's very rare, you see, because I live in Shropshire now.
Yeah.
So I don't often come to
Ludlow.
London. Yeah, Ludlow. Home of the Ludlow Piano Festival.
Which is run by?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah. Inaugurated 2 years ago, set up by me, run by me, with a team, with a good team.
Oh, really?
Yes, very good team.
So you had a TV show, massive, BBC flagship thing.
Yeah.
There's very few people I met who were that massive. And also that was the time when there was no internet streaming stuff, and it was the 4 channels.
Yeah, we've just gone to 5 channels.
Just gone to 5 channels.
That was it.
You're not a fame person, are you? Or did you enjoy the fame?
50-50. It was a real 50-50 thing.
Was it?
Yeah. There's certain things that happened. It's such a really strange journey.
Is it?
To go on. Yeah, and it is a journey. That's an overused word, but it really just takes you somewhere else. It does. You end up somewhere different from where you started out. There's so many weird things that happen to you. And I can remember, I'm reminded of it today with you taking my picture, but arriving at events that were red carpet dues.
Right.
So the Albert Hall or somewhere, the BAFTAs or whatever else, the big thing you get invited to, and it was thrilling, And then you turn up, you get out of the car, and it's Alistair, you feel amazing. And all these people say, Alistair, over here, down here, Alistair, this one over here, all right, Alistair, yeah, all right, Alistair, get this one over here, down here. And you go, yeah, doing all these things and turning around, arm around your girlfriend. And then just getting, used to it. Then suddenly, but unbeknownst to you, Tess Daly arrives in the car behind you, and they're going, Tess, and you think, oh, I thought you, and you realise in those moments, poetically, you just think, oh, okay, I'm only famous and interesting to you for as long as you need me. This isn't a lifelong love affair. The minute somebody else comes along, I'm out of the way. And that sort of incident made me think, oh, this is what it's all about. You get your moment, and then somebody else comes along. When we finished our 4 years, I thought, well, we'll go away and do other things that I'd always wanted to do. I'd always, as a child, wanted to be in musicals. I'd wanted to be in West End plays. I wanted to write Radio 4 plays. I wanted to sing. And so I was lucky. I went in to do all those different things in the West End, musicals, plays. And then I thought, right, now I'll go back and knock on the door and say I'm ready to do the impressions again. And no one tells you the rules of comedy or television until you break them.
Right.
And that was a rule I didn't realise was there, that you don't go away and come back and say, can I now do that again?
Oh.
It's
So what do they say? No?
Yeah, effectively. You are of your time, I think. And then that slow realisation and coming to terms with that took a good couple of years. And then after that, I thought, I'm fine now, you know.
Yeah. But then you went into you went piano.
When I started playing the piano, I thought, well, how far can I take this?
Right.
And I had always been obsessed with this composer, Eric Satie. So I looked into his life story and it was fascinating.
In what way?
His character, he was just kind of crazy and just did unusual things, and he wrote stuff as well. He wrote good comedy pieces like Spike Milligan almost.
Right.
They were just silly pieces, really funny.
Yeah.
So I thought as soon as I read these, one day, this is before I could play the piano, one day I want to do a show on stage at Edinburgh where I mix Satie's writing and his music. Can I do it? So finally, with most of the things having stopped, I thought, right, I'm going to do that show. And then as I did my first public run through, it so happened, and I had somebody else playing most of the pieces for me at that stage because I still hadn't learned them. But I played two, and there was a lady in from Sony, because she knew the other pianist, and she said, you play really well, I'd like to offer you an album deal.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I said...
Did she know who you were as well? Kind of, yeah.
Well, I said, okay. And then I rang my agent and said, I can only play two pieces. You can't have an album with 2 3-minute pieces. And she would learn some more. And so I did. I learned 36 pieces in a year. 36, which is a lot of pieces to learn. Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. It was the happiest, probably 9 months professionally I've ever had. It's just feeling the improvement, I think, and also there's something magical about music going through your fingers.
Yeah. You've got a cardigan on now. Do you remember your first gig?
I do remember my first gig vividly. I was reminded of it coming here today. It was at the Chuckle Club.
Chuckle Club with... He died recently.
I know,
oh,
yeah, lovely Paul J. Eugene Cheese. I'd been at drama school for 3 years, and I did a review at the drama school, and it was the first time I'd really done impressions in front of anybody. So I turned up at the Chocolate Club one night, and the gig had started, and we walked in through the door, and the door was to the left of the stage. So as you walked in, Paul was on stage, Eugene Cheese, looked around, and he went, "Are you the act?" And everyone laughed, and I thought, oh, I've got to laugh, I've only just arrived. And I went, "No, I'm not the act." He went, "Oh, the act's late. Thought you might be the act. You're not the act." I went, "No, I'm not the act." He went, "Oh, well, you can come up if you want to." And I went, "Ha ha ha." And they went, "Ha ha ha ha." Anyway, he went, "Oh, well, so the act's not here. We'll have a little break, and then hopefully the act will arrive." "Okay, see you in 5 minutes." Then he went off. So then my mate's going, "Hey, why don't you do that stuff you did at the review? Just get on and do that stuff you did at the review. Go on, you can do it." And I went, "I can't do that." And he went, "Yeah, do that thing you did at the review." So I went up to Eugene and I said, "You know the act hasn't arrived yet?" I said, "I can do 5 minutes if you want." He went, "What?" And I said, "I'll do 5 minutes if you want." He went, "All right then," thinking, yeah, cheeky, yeah, you know, you're going to die in your ass. So I went and did this 5 minutes, and it went into 10 minutes, and then I got off, and rapturous applause.
Really?
And Eugene went, "But yeah, very good. I don't know what his name was, but he was very good, right?" And now the act has arrived, and the act went on and didn't do as well as me.
Seriously?
So Eugene came up to me afterwards, Paul J, and he just said, "That was very good." He said, "How much have you got?" And I went, "Well, that was it." And he went, "I'll give you 20 minutes next month." And I said, "I haven't got 20 minutes." And he said, "Write another 10.
Wow.
So I did, and that was it.
Best gig?
Best gig? Whoa. I say about the one I did the other day, actually. It was the one that gave me the most satisfaction.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm forgetting you're rolling all the time. Keep it straight and say, and action.
And action.
But the last one I did, as of this interview, was yesterday, and that was in a place called Church Stretton, which is 15 miles from Ludlow, in a church with 180 people.
Just you?
Just me. And I played the piano, recited some of my poetry, and did some stand-up in between. Yeah. And I went home probably more satisfied from that than I can ever remember.
Worst gig? Have you got a worst gig? Can you think of a worst gig?
Yes.
Oh, you can, straight away. Because it's funny now, isn't it? But
it's funny now. The bottom one, these are the pictures that we'll probably use. We'll go, yeah, that's you laughing at being the worst gig. The worst gig ever for me was 1990. So I've been doing it for about a year.
Okay.
And I'd always gone well. And people say, isn't it hard? How do you deal with hecklers? And I thought, I've never had any. It's always gone well. So then there was this fella, Brian Bethel, who ran a comedy gig in Clapham,
yeah.
So I'd done a good comedy spot there, 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You're local, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you compare? Come and compare." And I've seen Eddie Izzard do this, and I've seen Mark Lamar do it, and I thought, yeah, I could do that. I said, what do I do? I'm not a compare. What do I do? He said, "Just break your act up into little bits. You'll be fine." So I thought, well, I could break my act up into little bits. Then I thought, yeah, but when Eddie Izzard does it, he just goes on and goes, "So, oh, look at you, oh, yeah, sure, yes, and what about, yes, oh, there's a moth, and, oh, it's strange being on stage, and have you had a drink?" "I haven't had a drink, but I feel like I have. Oh, you're nice, yes, that's right, what are you wearing that for?" So I thought, I'll just go on and be like Eddie. So I walked on stage, no plan, tried to be like Eddie, and went, "So, with my voice, "You're wearing a shirt, aren't you? And how long have you been sitting, because where did you come to come? Where are you? And it started to go worse and worse. Boo, get off! And I thought, what do I do? I'm a compere, I can't get off. I've got to bring people on. I've got to do it 5 times, 6 times in a night. And I got the first act on. Rachel Berger, her name was, and I remember that. I think I said to her, and when I went past her, tough crowd. She had them in the palm of her hand within a second. And then I went back on, boo, get off. And I was thinking, I've got to keep going out. So the second half, I start the second half, boo, get off, get off. So I can't do anything. So I thought, oh, okay. So introduce your next act. And it was Frank Skinner. And I couldn't remember his name. I just knew it was Frank. But my girlfriend at the time was into this weird performance art group called Frank Chickens. It was some Japanese performance photography or something, I don't know what they were. So he's standing there and I'm thinking, please welcome onto the stage, Frank Chickens. So Frank Skinner goes, I'm going, yeah, and I said, tough crowd, Frank. He goes, all right. Within a word, he had them on his side.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Let's do a big fake laugh. That's good. Hold the mirror. Oh. And now look in the other mirror. If you're looking into that mirror, what do you see? If you just look at yourself.
Oh, looking at myself.
Yeah.
I see an older version of me, someone who's got ratty old hair and doesn't know what to do with it.
But apart from the physical...
I suppose since I did Who Do You Think You Are and looked into my ancestry, I see my ancestors looking back at me. Because I had a moment there when I was in India. I was aware then of thinking, what is this whole thing of a line, a family line? What happens to a body when it's gone? And I just thought, do we somehow subsume our ancestors? Do their spirits actually come within us? We don't know, because all those people have gone into making us.
Yeah.
And I just had this one weird, really spiritual moment. I thought perhaps they all look out through our eyes, and that's where they are. They're still being carried around. You hope they're not looking through your eyes when you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, you think it's quite a nice thought. So sometimes I look in there, and because of likenesses, I think, oh, I can see my great-grandfather who I never met. I can see his eyes. And my father's side, they were Scottish until 1750, and then moved to India. So they were Anglo-Indian, and I was the first McGowan in my father's side to be born in this country since 1750.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about your favourite photograph.
Yes. Well, I happen to have it just here. In this book, in fact.
We haven't really talked about poetry, but what have you got into poetry?
Well, I've been writing poetry on and off for 40 years.
Yeah.
And in June this year, I was very pleased to say that this book was released. So as you can see, in 40 years, I have written an awful lot. But this is the collected works. And I called it Not What We Were Expecting because I was booked to do a poetry event and somebody came to see it. It was billed as poetry. And afterwards he came up and he said, yeah, that wasn't what we were expecting, but it was good. And I thought, it was poetry. It's listed as poetry,
great.
But it wasn't what we were expecting. So I thought, that's a great title, Not What We Were Expecting. And maybe also life is not ever what we were expecting, whether it's for better or for worse, doesn't matter.
And in there is a picture.
In here, again, the producer said, how are people going to know it's you? So I said, why don't we put a picture of me on the front? So we put all of me through the years. And then because we'd done that, we put some inside as well, because a lot of the poems are about my family. So we have this little picture right there in the dedication.
It's been fantastic. I'm going to take a selfie of me and you. I'll just make it on you. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Alistair McGowan, like and subscribe the channel.
Yes.
That's true, isn't it?
Yes, like and subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe's very important.
I've seen some of the others on this channel and they're very, very good. A good watch.
They are
nice
good watch.
and tight, very well edited. Frankie. There's no wastage, which appeals to me as an environmentalist. Nothing, there's no wastage.